What's good, boys? Welcome back to the Brain Drip Podcast with me and Devin. We're going to be doing the same old thing, rambling off random shit, and see how it goes. So, what's new with you, Devin?
Man, it's been the same past couple weeks, bro. Just work, get home,
Routine.
read, uh, try to take care of myself as much as possible, trying to work on that inner part of myself
That
so I
inner
can,
spirituality.
so I can move forward, man. Uh, what about you, bro? What's going on with you? What's new this week?
Monotony. That's what. That's what. I'm gonna get a little button for the podcast. Anytime I say, I just gonna say monotony. Monotony.
Monotony.
Same old shit. Uh, just that's what we got to be doing. Is that's the whole game, is finding different ways to please our mind during the consistency. We know what we're doing is right for the most part. We just got to keep on going with it. But one of the
Right.
first things I wanted to talk about in the podcast is I watched this movie the other day called The Deer Hunter, and premise of the movie is it's like there's these three guys. Well, it's a whole town, and they're like Russian Orthodox. I ain't gonna spoil the ending, but they're like, it's like this super weird little like culture of like Russian Orthodox people, and it starts with this wedding, and it's like the most fun wedding you've ever seen. They're all like partying, getting drunk as shit, and then all of a sudden there's like real weird like ambience to it, where you think something's gonna go wrong, and all three of like the main people go to war, go to the Vietnam War, and it's like Robert De Niro, uh, who the fuck else? What's his name? Uh, Wilkins. What the fuck is that guy's name? Anyway, there's three of them. And they go to war, and you just see like the first scene is like crazy. You just see this like Vietnamese guy run up to this bunker, throw a grenade in there, with like 20 Vietnamese people in there, and you just see him run away, and it go poof. He's like shooting down women and killing them, and then it's just like
What
an
the
action
fuck?
sequence. And then you see these helicopters come in, and they come to rescue Robert De Niro. And then the next fucking scene is the most you just see all these Vietnamese people coming over the hill, and then they're just in like a camp, like a POW camp, in the water. Like they're in a river in a cage in the water, and they're pulling these people up through the fucking floor, floating in the river, like all the U.S. soldiers, and they put them in these chairs, and there's like 20 guys around them with money, and they're like speaking their fucking da 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 da, like that type of shit, and they have this pistol, and they're making them play Russian roulette against each other, like it's the craziest shit, and bro, they're for real just like it. That is like the best acting I've ever seen, and it just like diverges into like that type of thing, and the whole movie, without spoiling it, what I got from it was it compared like war. It compared the strategy and tradition of deer hunting, because all the people they live in this mountain town, they're deer hunters, to like
Right.
Russian roulette plays a big part, to like this just like game of chance, and it shows like they view war as like deer hunting, but really it's just like this senseless game of Russian roulette. It is it's definitely one of the best movies I've ever seen.
I definitely have to check that out. It sounds pretty interesting.
I'm trying to remember.
Sounds
I
like
think it was on. I think I watched that shit on Prime. But
like
that shit,
Amazon Prime.
yeah. Bro, it's like
Let
one
me
of the
see. What
movies,
was it called? Hold on. Let me look it up.
The Deer Hunter. It was one of those movies where I was just like, after the ending, I was just like thinking. It put me in like a little bit of an existential crisis. I was just like, what the fuck is the meaning of that shit? Is crazy, bro. It was that deep. I don't get like that with a lot of movies, but that shit. But
Hey, that's how you know it's good right there.
well, it got me thinking. The
If,
reason why I wanted to talk about that movie is like, I think I said in the last podcast, in my opinion, movies are like the ultimate art form, in the sense of, well, in this, like, everyone's attention is like on all these different, like, in your face, and nobody really sits there and looks at paintings anymore. Uh, we listen to music as like an accessory and shit like that. We don't really not many people will sit and buy records and just like listen to their record player. It's like a small niche group of people who still do that. And it's like movies can like combine them into two, where it's just like you got audio and visual and just like all this shit, and you just there. I don't think they're. What's a movie that you think you feel that way with?
I gotta think, man. Shit, Avatar, bro. That
Avatar.
Avatar,
You,
bro. I
you turn
swear,
blue.
that movie is, bro. That movie's crazy, bro. Like it literally, like that dude who directed the movie. I can't remember his name right now.
He's like he has the same name as me, but backwards. I'm Cameron James. His is James Cameron.
Yo, that's crazy, bro.
That
That's
shit is crazy.
crazy.
But
No, that
that
movie,
movie
like
is crazy.
that movie. Yeah, I see like, bro. I don't know to this day that the movie holds a special place in my heart because like every time I watch it, you can just like it's almost like every time I watch it, it's like I've watched it for the first time, and I'm experiencing a new. I'm seeing things how I didn't see them before because I have gained a new perspective, if that makes sense. And that's just like that movie where I can go back and watch it every like year or so, and I watch it and I'm like, you
Well,
know
it's
what I'm
just
saying?
like
Like I
the
just kind of,
story in it is like simple, but it's like the way that they portray it and like all the elements they add into it and the world they create. It's like some fucking Lord of the Rings shit. You just like,
yeah,
I still can't believe the
right.
fact you told me you ain't taking nothing and watch Lord of the Rings. 'Cause that's just you do that
Nah,
shit.
not yet, bro.
You gonna be a changed man. You gonna be sitting there thinking that Gandalf gonna come to your house and you just gonna be waiting.
Fucking
Hey,
waiting
that's
for Gandalf to show up.
Well, I remember I saw the
That shit would be
Avatar movie
crazy.
at my grandma's house. Whenever the fuck that shit came out, it was like 2009 or something. And she had just got a 3D television. Like whenever they first came out, she was so hyped about it. She bought The Hobbit and the Avatar movies on 3D. And bro, I remember we like sat up the like chairs in the kitchen like a movie theater, and we were sitting there watching that. Bro,
Hmm.
whenever them little like lily things start floating through the air and stuff, that shit was crazy. Do you fuck with the second one, or you ain't seen it yet?
No, I watched that one in the movie theater, bro. I think I,
Yeah.
I think I took like, I think I took a few grams of mushrooms and watched that movie in the movie theater. That shit was crazy.
You think it was as good as the first one?
See, this, I don't know. I think it was a really good movie. It's just that it, it was just a sequel to the first one, and the first one's always gonna be like the one that's like you're more connected with, like with any of the, like movies with like I don't know any of the like old Star Wars fans are gonna tell you the original Star Wars movies are the best Star Wars movies. It's just like one of those
Yeah, I've
things.
always
But
liked the
visually,
prequels.
I mean, it's like I wasn't expecting a second Avatar, so like whenever because it had been like talked about for so long, I was like, this shit ain't coming out, bro. Like GTA 6, that shit ain't coming out, bro. They've been talking about making another
Bro,
one of those for fucking
I just can't believe
however
that they
long.
got like 4 more in the works. I saw the thing and they were like, yeah, they already like bought the fucking shit for 4 more avatars, and I was just like, bro, they didn't. Sometimes they just need to close the book on pieces of art and just let them fucking be there. That'd be like me having a painting and just keep on fucking painting strokes on it. Like
Just keep
sometimes
going
you
and
just gotta,
going and going and going.
sometimes you just gotta sell that bitch to the museum and let it be.
Hey, I heard that the original, like the second Avatar, the original movie was like 12 hours long or something, some shit like
I
that.
think I heard something like that, like the
And then
director's cut.
yeah, the director's cut was like 12 hours long, which makes you think about like this guy must have been on some trippy shit, because acid's like a 12-hour trip,
Bro, he
bro.
said I
You
saw
watch
an
that
interview.
motherfucking
I saw an interview and he said he saw that shit in a dream. It's like, yeah, a dream, boy, a dream. Oh,
Yeah,
fucking.
bro. Motherfucker. Bro, these
But no,
fucking. Hey, y'all spam this number, bro. I don't know who the fuck this is, but y'all spam them.
bro, I be getting them all day, especially if I'm like waiting for somebody else to call me on something, and then it just be like some bullshit. And I look at my phone. You ever
It's like,
seen
bro, I'm
a
about to throw this
Taxi
fucking
Driver?
phone. Nah, I haven't. Who's that? Like, who's the main character
Bro,
in that
you need to
movie?
watch these fucking classics, dog. These are like, they're both Robert De Niro movies, but like the Taxi Driver is that shit, bro. That shit pulled me out of like my existential angst. Back in the day, I was just sitting there like all mad and shit, and I watched that movie and I'm just like, damn, this is fucking neat. This for real. It's like about this guy. He leaves the Marines and he goes to New York City, and bro, the cinematography in Taxi Driver, you'll like never see anything. Martin Scorsese made it. It was like one of his first movies. You'll never fucking see cinematography like that. Like the color in it, the music and the ambiance. Any movie, even if you take out the material, which is like gold in the movie, just the ambience of the movie, just it's like a normal fucking city movie, but it puts you in there like Avatar does. Like it creates this fucking world. But he just becomes this taxi driver. It sounds boring, but you just have to
Nah, it
watch
sounds
it.
dope, honestly.
It deals with like this guy's like purposelessness, and that turns into like anger, and he doesn't know how to like change a situation. It's just like all these different elements, but it's gold. Yeah, I ain't really been watching that many movies lately. I just try to like every once a week, me and my grandpa sit down and watch a movie, and goddamn, that Deer Hunter, just I was like looking up clips of that movie while just sitting around looking at them because it was just that fucking good.
Right, bro.
But
I probably give it a watch. Honestly, it sounds pretty good. I've been
it's worth
like,
it.
I don't really watch much TV because the TV nowadays is just kind of like toxic, bro. Like, it's so bullshit. It's like garbage for your
Yeah, no, I
brain.
don't watch. I don't watch no news or nothing like that. That shit just
Yeah,
pisses me off.
it's like I'd sit down and watch like one of those movies you're talking about, just like for the pure like, because like back in the day they made movies like for not just for entertainment but for a purpose. You know, there was effort, and there was uh there was a sort of artistic touch to most of these cinemas. They went out of their way to make these like actually pleasing to watch. You know, like it wasn't just 4K, um, $3 billion sets and fucking like the Avenger movies and shit. Like they don't go
Hmm.
all the way, like spend as much money as they possibly can to get you to just watch it. They use what they have to their advantage, almost like like in life, or like with anything that you do. Like, are you gonna go out and buy the most equipment and then make something, or are you gonna make something with what the equipment that you already have? You know, are you gonna use a fucking motherfucking paint can lid and some fucking, I don't know, some newspaper to make a piece of art, or are you gonna go to the craft store and spend as much money as you can and then make the piece of art? You know, it's like they use what
Well, I
they
mean,
have to make
them
something
like
beautiful.
I like them expendable type movies. That's like what my grandpa watches. Those like action Steven Seagal movies, and it's like candy. It's like, all right, I eat a couple pieces. It's like tastes good, but it don't like give you nothing for the soul. But you get like a fucking Godfather, or it's like the most cliche movie. But like you get like one of these like great fucking movies. It's just like some beef, a big ass steak, just some fucking nutrients, and there's substance behind it. I mean,
Yeah,
there's actually like a
right.
message, or not even like it doesn't even have to be like a message. It's just like I don't know, it's fucking art. The other one, if I just took like 100 piece of paper and just like dribbled on them like that the same exact way all the way through. I could probably sell them or whatever, but it's not going to be the same as if I just handcrafted this piece of art.
Right. I
All right.
agree.
How's your music been going?
It's going, bro. It's just one of those things, you know, where I'm like, I have the passion to do it, and I want to do it, so I'm doing it, but I'm not like actually constructing any songs or actually doing anything where I could be like, I could show somebody like, hey, look what I'm doing. You know, it's more like I'm just fucking around on the computer trying to
Yeah.
play with certain knobs and dials and shit, trying to see what sounds cool. I'm just experimenting right now. Honestly, I'm in the experimental stage. But I did find this free course on the specific kind of music I want to make that I'm gonna probably do later. It's like a 45-minute course, and they like take you through like step by step stuff that like is fundamental to know. So I'm probably gonna do that later.
That I did. I don't know if I told you or not, but I went through like 3 months where I taught myself Ableton over whenever I used to live near San Marcos, and I would just like come home from the subway and just like obsess over these like everything from like Kenny Beats to like the smallest person I could find that used the DAW that I was using just to like pick a little bit of information from them, and it was fun for me, but what you gotta keep in the back of your mind is like if you trying to make something that's from you, there ain't gonna be no guide about it. There ain't gonna be no guide whenever you just put them sounds that only like you come up with. That's
Right.
the uniqueness side of it. But do you be getting in like a flow state whenever you do it, or you haven't really got like acclimated with it enough?
Hold on, I just went black. Okay, we're back. I haven't really I haven't gotten to the point where I can actually make like tracks right now. So it's not really like there's not really a flow with it. It's more just like bouncing around trying to figure out like I don't like so I'm still learning like chords and certain sounds and how things work together. So I can't like I have like tried to just go for it, and I end up getting I there's like a wall where like it gets to a point where it's like, okay, well, I'm trying to make something that sounds good that's unique to me. So I'm not gonna I try to stay away from like copying what other people are doing on the internet, but then I get I get like stopped by this like barrier of like knowledge. You know, I don't have like the knowledge to pursue where like I have the creativity and I have the drive and the passion, but I don't have the knowledge quite yet. So I just find myself going back to those videos looking for like information on how to do certain things, and like right now I'm using FL Studios, and I don't know, like it's just kind of like I don't know if it's because it's just FL Studios and it's just like I don't know. I heard that's one of the easier ones to use. Ableton's like one of the harder ones to use, but I heard that's like one of the best ones to use too, though. So like I've
It's
been
best
kind of
for like if you want to do like techno and that type of shit. Ableton definitely the best. See, I understand exactly what you're talking about. It's like you got the idea for the music in your head. It's like something that nobody's ever heard, but you don't have the fucking like you don't know how to pick the fucking brush up. That's what it feels. It's like you can dabble around and like make some shit you don't even really care about. Just like, oh, I watched this video on how to like put the beat and then make the chord, and it's nowhere near what you envisioned in your mind. That shit. That's what
right.
made me give up on that shit. I for real just like, I was like, fuck this, and I just started playing my guitar. I'll play you the last beat I made before I gave up. It was 30 seconds long, and I listened back to it, and I was just like, what the fuck, bro? just loops. But that's all I could come up. Like, it's not what I wanted. I wanted to like combine like some fucking like doo-wop 50s type shit with like beats, not in like the corny way where you hear like the like I'm so lone, like the Akon shit. I wanted it to be
Yeah.
like some actual like fucking, because I was listening to a lot of that older music at the time. But then I have like worse ones where that shit's like this.
Yeah.
Like that shit is crazy. I published that shit and I'm like, yo, these motherfuckers they gonna be on this shit. I'm gonna get a motherfucker message me and buy that shit.
Hey, let me hop on that, bro.
Oh god.
Type shit.
But I don't know.
Now I have, bro.
Actually,
You got further than I'm at right now. I don't even like. I haven't even made like anything like worth like. It's not even like all I've been able to do was like some drums, and then like a 4-step drum with like with like a kick and a kick and a snare. That's it. Just a kick and a snare. So it's like doom tsh, doom tsh, doom tsh. That's it though. That's all I've gotten. Like I haven't been able to like. I've tried, but it's like I get stopped at like this wall again. We're at like this invisible wall where it's like I'm going, I want to go, and then I stop because it doesn't sound like anything. It just sounds like noise, you know. And it's like I
well,
have
that's
this
like my thing.
this
Is it's
idea
like
in my head.
that's what made me give up. Is like that you have that in your fucking head, and then you just like play around or see. I stopped for that reason. Like I can make little things like that were pretty much just like me watching a video and like tracing a drawing or something. Like I would just keep copying what they did, changing up the instruments a little bit in it, and like I'm just like decent with computers. So I was, but like I couldn't take the creativity in my fucking head, and it made me so frustrated that I was just like, man, fuck this bullshit. And then I ain't opened Ableton or nothing like that in like 2 years, and I was like so driven on that shit. I remember I come home from work, and I'd be like sleeping in a house with like 8 people, and I'd just be like in the fucking like cupboard, not the cupboard, but like in the back of a bedroom like this, just like fucking, oh god, dude, I'm gonna make this shit, dude, and I just gave up.
It's like it'd be like that, bro. Like I don't know. I feel like at times I just want to like give up and not do it like anymore at all. But I keep reminding myself that like there's not an end goal to the process, you know? Like I'm learning to enjoy the beginning stages because there isn't an end goal, you know? There's not like a particular like stage of like mastery that I'm looking for. It's more or less like I'm just looking to learn how to do it, enjoy learning how to do it, and then once I learn how to do it, I'll always have that information on how to do it, you know? And then I can it's just like the more you learn about it, like a particular thing that you enjoy doing, the it's hard to like forget about that knowledge that you intentionally teach yourself, you know? When you go out of your way to like learn something and you spend hours and hours and hours to learn that one thing, it's like that's kind of carry on the rest of your life. You're going to carry on the rest of your life with that. So when I'm like fucking 30, 40 years old with my own house and shit, got my own studio in there, I can whip up some music real quick, you know? I can you know what I'm saying, just for fun, you know? Right now,
Yeah.
I don't have the capability to do so, but that's just because I don't have the years of experience that like a lot of these YouTubers that I watch. You know, they got 10, 15 years of experience. When we look at these people who have more experience than us that we're trying to learn from, they don't really make it like very apparent that like, hey, I was once you too. Like, I was in your position at one point, and it took me just as long as it's taking you. A lot of people just kind of like paint this picture like they've always known how to do it, and it's just like something that's like they were naturally gifted with. And like I feel like some people are naturally gifted in like music, but it's more like you have like nobody comes out of the womb just knowing how to play chords, bro.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah, yeah.
comes out of the womb just knowing how to play the piano. They had to learn that shit, you know? And
Well, it's like I consider myself to be like naturally gifted with that. Like I've never had a problem picking up instrument. Like everything from like the harmonica to like the piano to the guitar to I don't I don't even know, like maybe the recorder in middle school. I've always been able to like pick up enough to make my own song off of that instrument within like it was like a day or two where I could like find something else. Like you show me, or you can make these three chords on the piano with these fingers, or this is like four chords on a guitar. I could come up with something, and I've just always gotten frustrated with it because I have the gift of learning, but then I just don't have the drive to like practice enough to push what's in my brain out. Like I've made a couple songs on the guitar that I believe are like decent. Like with the lyrics, I made one about like chasing dreams and shit like that, and just like story-driven songs. But whenever I get down to like the brass tacks of it, I just feel kind of. I'm just like, damn. I know, bro. I play that comparison game too much with like, you look up there and you see like there's like this little Asian guy named Ichika Nito, and he does these like and on like a guitar, and I'm just like, bro, what the fuck? I'm sitting over here with my like bar chord, just like campfire style, and that motherfucker just like zooming on the fretboard. But it, I just got to do it as like a hobby, or I just like drive myself crazy.
yeah, that's I mean that's what it's about, honestly. Like uh some people make a living off of it, which is really cool to see that. And that's the people that we listen to, the people that we enjoy listening to their music. They made a living off of doing what they love. Um, and maybe one day I can get to the point where I can make a living off of making music, but that's not really anything I see right now happening. What I see is just a future of success, and whatever takes me there. I'm gonna do whatever it is that I'm doing. I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna something. I'm not looking for like, cause like when see that's the problem, you know. Like I feel like that was a lot of my problem as a kid was, or not kid, a teenager or the past few years was like I had this idea in my head of how things should turn out, the outcome, how things should be. And then when I don't feel like I can live up to that expectation that I placed inside my head, I give up on it. But when you let go of expectations and you just do things because you enjoy doing them, like you said, like you just you're gonna like just play music just as a hobby, you know, like fuck around on it whenever you feel like it. That's what we should be doing, you know? It's not really like if you expect an outcome out of something, it's less genuine anyways. Like you see a lot of these people on, you know, YouTube and stuff. They're making music for a living, but like I feel like half of that is passion, and then the other half of it is just like they're doing it because it's a way to make income. And it's like if I'm gonna do that, I might as well fucking do something else, you know? Like if I
Yeah,
am not 100% involved with it passionately, then it's not worthwhile.
I had all these different like influences, like older musicians that I'd look up to, and like I have enough knowledge on the guitar that I could probably go play like a fucking country bar around here and like make money off of doing it. But it's like that is not where my art. I visualize my future or my art is playing in a fucking. I visualize myself like Tame Impala. I visualize it like the top country guy who just like his overnight success. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden there he is.
Yeah.
I fantasize about that shit. Like Tame Impala, for example, was like one where I like saw that. I didn't know much about him for the longest, but whenever I was like learning Ableton, I kept looking up like, what age did this person make this at? And then Tame Impala popped in my head, and I was like, that's just like one dude. And I like researched his whole story and shit, and I was like, bro, that is the coolest shit. This motherfucker just like came up off a laptop in his room, making what came into his head, one man band style. And that's like, that's what initiated me down that, was just thinking about that. But I don't know. You never fucking know. You might pick that shit up, put it down, not look at it for 2 years, and then pick it back up, and it wasn't the right time. And then 2 years down the road, you pick that shit back up, and there you go. That was whenever the moment was right. Maybe this moment was just
Right.
to get the initial bug, to have the tool next to you for fucking 3 years later for you to actually use it. You never really know. But that's where, like, going with the flow, and I believe more in breaks than giving up. Like, whenever you start thinking about giving up on this shit, a philosophy that helped me is don't give up, take a break. It sounds simple, but a lot of people don't do it. They're like, all right, they're all or nothing on things. They feel like they're a failure because they can't just, because they didn't make it happen when they said they were. When in reality, that's just not the case.
Right.
You're still alive. You still got time.
That's true. It's very true. Just feel like going, like just moving, just keep on just pushing, you know, like as far as like if you have to drive yourself crazy to get something done, then it's probably not something that you should be doing in the first place. Like let me rephrase that. Like if there's for me, like you said, like taking a break, like if I put something down, like if I used to be obsessed with drawing, you know, like I used to like love to draw.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened. I think I burnt myself out on it for like I think I just like would have these bursts of inspiration to draw, and then the outcome wouldn't be what I expected it to be for the longest time, and then I stopped doing it for a long time. But every time I pick up the paintbrush or pick up a sketch pad, I end up making something like pretty dope, you know, like it's like every once in a while now I'll pick up a canvas and I'll paint something that I think is pretty good, you know, instead of like spending weeks, months at a time trying to make something like okay. Every time I pick it up, it's like, oh, I appreciate this because I don't know. I guess it just goes back into going with the flow, you know, like I'm not gonna force myself to pick up a canvas. If I feel like, hey, you know, there's like that feeling, that internal feeling where it's like you should paint something, then I'm gonna do it, you know. And it's not like forced. I don't know. Forcing something is rather going against the flow rather than going with it. I don't know what you think about that.
I agree, but then I feel like there's a balance with go with the flow. I feel like if we all were to just only go with the flow, then it'd be like Wally, you know? Like that is ultimately, the motherfuckers are just going with the flow of a chair. But whenever I think about it, it does take a level of action. Like, I got an oil, like I was into oil paintings, I would send you them and shit like that. I was proud of them. I discovered something, like you said, whenever I was a child that I had enjoyed. And I discovered like, hey, I'm kind of decent at this. I have a lot of fun doing this. Shit, I'm going to start doing it. And it wasn't that I burnt myself out. It was that I lost discipline with that. Like, I believe even if you have discipline with like gym and all this shit, there's different disciplines on each different thing. Like, I'm disciplined to do this, I'm disciplined to do this. But there's all levels to each one. Like, once you take off one level of momentum off of this thing, then you don't have the fucking drive to do it. For me, I got a painting in there that I primed the canvas and everything, and it's 2 weeks ago. I haven't picked up, looked at it, probably longer, 4 weeks, probably a whole fucking month. Really, whenever I think about it. And this was something that a month ago I was so like motivated at. I was so like, I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to do this. Figuring out my time. And then I just kind of let go with it. But if I do like a little bit of self-reflection, it's not entirely that I got burnt out, because I still have like that little thought in my head of like, oh, that'd be fun. I should probably do that. It's more of the momentum is gone. Now, to get the momentum back, you just kind of gotta, that just comes down to like the action. Same thing with going to the gym. Like all of it, the momentum and all of it is relative to each other. Like it's like once you take the gas off of this thing, it's gonna be harder to put it back on. That's what I believe. That's kind of how I view it. I do believe once you put your foot on the gas, you can kind of go with the flow down the road. But there does come a point where like you just take your foot off the gas, you're just sitting on the shoulder. I keep making these into like fucking like the most cliche self-help like analogies. But like
Nah,
that's just like the way my brain visualizes it. Is it's like you're just sitting over there and you just got, all you gotta do is get back on that road and shit. But it does, anything you try new is kind of going against the flow in some situation. It'd be like if you visualize it like a river, it's like you reaching your arm out of it and pulling something new into it. That goes with like anything you do. And you do only have a limited amount of energy though. Like that is also a factor. Like if you're working yourself to the bone and you think it's just physical, that's going to tie into like every other aspect of your life. Like fatigue is a very real thing.
right.
That's why I have to pick and choose things. Like I was running, working out, and doing the fucking shit we do every day. And I had quit making my videos. I had quit painting. I had quit playing music. I did that for like a month. I didn't do anything I liked besides come home and scroll TikTok. And that was like the first couple weeks of working here. And then all of a sudden I zoomed out and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you retard? Like, come on, dog. Get with it. And then I just reallocated my
Right.
priorities. And I still do that every day. Like right now, I'm struggling so hard with my YouTube videos. That shit literally, I hate that shit almost. Like, I love the aspect of like possibly changing, helping young men. That sounds gay, but you know what I mean? But it's like, I upload every video I upload. I can be so disciplined with this shit. I'll get fucking 3 views on the video. And I'm just like, bro, what the fuck? These motherfuckers told me it takes 2 years to make it happen. I'm looking at my watch, dog. It's getting close. But, fuck it.
Hey, bro. I mean, like, going with the flow really just, it just means like, it's not necessarily like letting go completely of everything. I feel like going with the flow is a balance between everything, you know, balancing everything in your life. Like realistically, yeah, sure, I would like to just play music all day long and make money off of it. But then, you know, where would my there would be a lack of fulfillment there, because I'm not going out and I'm not doing things. I don't know. It's just a balance between it all, bro. Like, I don't know. I'm still figuring this out myself. Like, I don't know. I feel like for the past few months, bro, I just haven't been doing anything. Like, it just feels like I haven't accomplished anything, really. I don't know why I feel this way. I just got this sudden wash of like, I don't know, like just this feeling of like I haven't really done anything. Like, it just feels like I haven't. I'm thinking about it. Like, I mean, I've been reading. I've been working. I don't know, bro. Like I've been
It's hard
playing
with
music.
that when you really self-critical like that. You hear all like the like corny like psychologist people be like, no, dude, like you got to look at the baby steps. You got to look at the baby steps. Look what you've done. Like for me, I lost all that weight, right? But I still feel like a little fat fuck. Like I still feel like a little munchkin bastard. And I lost over like 100 pounds. I tell people that and they're like, no way. And I'm just like, I didn't do anything. I didn't really do anything. I go with that like every single fucking aspect that I do. If I made $10,000 right now, I'm realistic in my head. Where I know even if I made $10,000 a month, right now I make close to 5. But if I made that 10, I would still look at myself like, okay, dog, okay, you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. So for me, it's kind of like I have to realize when it's enough or whenever that might not relate to you. But the mind is like the most powerful thing. You texted me about the positive thoughts. And I read this book by Viktor Frankl a while back called Man's Search for Meaning. It's like a very popular self-help book. And he was he was in the Holocaust. He was in like a fucking internment camp. He would see people leave and get killed, all that, all the fucking horrors you've heard about the Holocaust. And he was a psychologist who went through this camp. And he talks about how he did a kind of mental experiment. And he looked at the ones who had like given up and just like thought, now this is like the ultimate level of like feeling meaningless. You're a fucking Jew in the Auschwitz, dog. Like, you don't have no fucking meaning. But he talked about how he took tricks from his psychology background and created a meaning in his mind. Small games. Alright, today I'm going to see if I can get an extra potato in my soup. Like that level of small. For me, an example on my videos. Like I could look at my views and they would never go up. Or I could zoom out and be like, holy shit, I was consistent on my videos for 3 months. That alone is an accomplishment to myself. Now, whether or not I acknowledge it, whether or not I'm like aware of it, that all comes down to me. But it's like, it's kind of one of those subliminal things where I read it, I didn't know what the fuck it meant, but now I just kind of see myself putting it into practice. Like the other day, I was driving to work, and that song Dire Maker by Led Zeppelin, you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like, oh, 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 oh. You know what I'm talking about? You don't have... Bro, I started getting in my head. I don't even know why. The song just triggered it. And I was just like, bro, what the fuck is the point of this? You just do this every single day. You drive this fucking same road. You ain't got nowhere further. The blah, 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 blah. I just started, like, eating negative thoughts. And I kept listening to that song, and it was making it worse. I was just like, man, what the fuck? There ain't no purpose. And fucking Robert Plant just kept going like, oh, 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 oh. And then I got to work. And then my job kind of snapped me out of it because I have a help right now that just complains every day. And I saw what I was doing in him. I'm pretty self-aware, I believe. That I'm pretty self-aware with like my feelings, like anger, all that shit. It takes me to like physically like invoke them, or like actually I can see them happen before. I don't just like burst out in anger. And I was like, bro, those little like thoughts you were putting in your head is exactly what this motherfucker's doing, sitting here complaining every single day. Every day I have to listen to my help be like, oh, I'm gonna leave this job in like 2 weeks. I fucking hate this shit. He's such an asshole. And I'm just like sitting there, and I started on the way to work. Just these negative thoughts from this person was influencing me so much that on the way to work, I saw myself like being like, all right, this is how I'm going to tell him off today. This is how I'm going to tell him that I don't give a fuck if you leave. I don't give a fuck, bro. Just fucking leave. I don't care. I was like visualizing that conversation in my head. Then I got there on Friday, and he was like, what's up, man? The first day in the week, he said something positive. He's like, what's up, bro? How are you doing? And I was like, instantly zoomed me out, and I was like, damn, bro, that's how powerful these fucking thoughts can be. Like, I don't give a fuck if he leaves or stay, but that's how powerful, just like it was affecting me that much, where like that was why my mornings were kind of weird. That was why I was feeling weird with that fucking Led Zeppelin song, was it's like something that minute, And like I'm not really big on a lot of the like affirmations and shit, but I feel like the biggest thing to try to tie all those things I just listed like schizophrenically together is like your mind is the most powerful thing. If you can find some way, whatever it is, if you gotta like I do the funniest shit. I'll walk through the trails with a walking stick with like happy songs in my head, like fucking soul music from like just shit that I would never listen to, and just breathe out and just like hike through my fucking trails, and it just like boosts my self-esteem and my confidence. Now it goes down throughout the day, but it's like you got to find little things like that that are unique in my experience that will enable those positive feelings in your mind, because whatever it's, I think it's totally unique with everybody. Somebody might like having like gay butt sex and it makes them feel confident. Like I really don't know, but it's just like it's completely like unique to you. It's pretty damn unique, but just, I don't think like a lot of the cliche things are what help. Like I don't think it's meditation. I don't think any. I think meditation just helps me focus. Like all the shit I've done research on meditation, I think it just is like mainly to help me focus and be self-aware. So like it's got to be some external action that you do that you just have to experiment with. It doesn't help me look in the mirror and be like, "Hey, you big dog, you gonna get these dreams." I'll still go by a mirror and see like my loose skin and be like, "Damn, you fucking ruined your whole body. You're a fucking retard. What did you do?" I like even no matter what I do, it'll still do it. But they're just the little actions of like positive things I do where I feel happy during them is what pulls me out of it. Maybe you have to just like, maybe it's that you have to like use happiness as a tool. Like things that make you feel happy. I know it's not like good to chase happiness, but like things that make you feel happy, use them as a tool. It's just complicated, dog. That shit for real. Just like
It is pretty. It can get complicated the more you think about it. The more you think about it, like the more like it just ties back to like the mind is powerful. I don't know. Like I don't know why I just got sucked into this like self-destructive like mindset again. Like I don't know. I feel like a lot of it has to do with like how we choose to start our days off and what we do to like what we do in the morning and what we do before we go to bed has a lot to do with how our days go by. And for some reason, I think I just woke up like
you gotta be super aware, like every little thing you do. Like you could be like, all right, I'm not gonna scroll TikTok, but for me, I'd wake up and I'd check my YouTube notifications to see who liked it. I'm not watching TikTok, I'm not reading YouTube comments, I'm not watching YouTube videos, but that little action of being like, oh yeah, dog, you ain't got no fucking views yet. I thought it was harmless. I thought it was like, alright, I'm just keeping up to date with my shit. No, that was like, it's toxic. It is fucking straight toxic shit. Like, everything. Like me, my mornings, this is every single morning, and if I switch it up, my day is fucked. 5 a.m., wake up, keep the phone next to the bed, and go in the other room and make my coffee and just read a book. I'll read a book. If it's a day that I gotta work out, I'll read for half the time and work out, and then I won't have any inner influence on my brain until I'm in the car. Then I can listen to some music or a podcast, whatever. But I try to keep it as clear as possible. And there are so many days where like I fuck that up. For the most part, I'm good. But there are days where I'll just like pick it up and I'll be like, hey, what was that podcast I was thinking about like putting in my watch later today for while I'm like working? And I like go on the YouTube, I'm like, holy shit, that's so interesting. I click it and then boom. You know, like nothing really matters, dude. Like this shit is just fucking, what the fuck is the point of all this? Blah, 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 blah. It's just like something that small just can fuck up and derail the whole day. Like that movie, to be honest, I still encourage you to watch it. It is super interesting, but something as small as like a movie impacts my brain so much. Like I remember it deals a lot with suicide in the movie. Like it's super focused on like suicide and like how crazy it is. And like my brain, it broke the gears of my brain of like how crazy that idea of killing yourself is. Like I would never do it, but after shooting myself, I have visualization sometimes. Like if I think about it, I like imagine that how worse it could have went. Like whenever I think about like how I accidentally shot myself, I think about like the gun being pointed towards my head, and and it like makes me squirm in my mind a little bit. And it's like that idea of suicide in that movie was just like so much that it just like brought me back to that little squirmy point where it just like broke the cogs. So it's an understatement whenever people talk about you need to truly be cautious of what you like put in your brain. I'm starting to really lean towards like the Alaska people. Like I would never do it. Like the monk life, like the fucking isolation, I would never do it. I like the balance of modern life, information age, but it's like there's a lot to learn from like people that isolate themselves from all this fucking bullshit. Like there truly is, like, I don't know, bro. That shit for real is just a lot of it's just fucking toxic poison. And it's masked. It's masked with positive shit. Like, bro, whenever I lost my weight, I fell so deep into like all that red pill shit. And it was crazy because they're sitting there telling me, go to the gym, get money, better yourself, take action. They're telling you all these things, but then they're also like feeding you poison in the back. It's like somebody with like a hand of gold and a knife under it. And he's like, look at this gold. Look at this gold. Like you're just like mesmerized by it. Like, and so many things do that. It's crazy.
Nah, you're right though. Like, I think like a lot of it is just like you have to choose to like you said, be mindful and be aware of everything that you're doing, because everything you do and say has impact on your brain, because our brains pick up signals. Like our senses send signals to our brain. Our brain doesn't know, like it can't differentiate what it doesn't know exactly what it's being fed. It just knows it's being fed. Yeah.
To a degree.
But I mean,
I do think if you're too soft on yourself, then that'll interfere with other things. Like I'll still call myself a bitch if I'm acting like a bitch. I'm not gonna be like you're a fucking worthless piece of shit, but like it definitely helps me if like I'm in the fucking mirror in the morning and I'm feeling like fucked up, or I'm thinking about like drinking alcohol or anything. The only thing that snaps me out of the rationalization is being like, hey dog, what the fuck are you doing, dog? Don't be a fucking bitch. Don't be a fucking bitch. You ain't being a man right now, you being a bitch. And it snaps me out. I don't be like, you are a bitch. See, that's where the grammar comes in there. You gotta use that grammar, bro. You can be like, hey, you are a bitch. Don't be a bitch.
I mean, it's all about what works for you. Yeah, I mean, if you can gauge what is beneficial for you, like that's all that matters really at the end of the day. But like, still being mindful of what you're doing, because like your brain, I'm not talking about your thoughts, because your thoughts are not your brain. That's something completely different. But your brain is like, it picks up the signals that your senses give off. So like if you touch like some slimy shit and it makes you feel a certain way, like that's because your senses are sending a signal to your brain that your brain's saying, I don't like this feeling. It's not necessarily like a conscious like, it's not something that you were consciously control of. You can't touch a fucking, you can't like, I mean, some people's fucking that shit. Like some people are just wired all out of whack. But like for the most part, like a lot of our senses are are these things that are like put inside of our mind come from like just hundreds of thousands of years of fucking like just people saying all agreeing to a certain thing and how things are. I don't know. I saw a video about it and it made sense like that's not important. That's not important. The important part is like doing things that are beneficial for you rather than doing things that are mindless activities like scrolling through your phone. Um, uh, you can choose to feed your brain garbage or you can choose to feed your brain gold. Like you can read like you can choose to watch to scroll doom scroll or you can consciously like if you like I'm not gonna lie like we're all like addicted to these things right to a certain extent because we were that's what we were raised to do so it's somewhat a part of us and um the the biggest part about it is like okay if I'm gonna use this I'm going to use it I'm not gonna let it use me I'm not gonna let it use me and I'm not gonna lie recently I've been kind of fucking up on that where I'll just like be scrolling but if I see some stupid shit though, I will pat myself on the back. If I see stupid shit, I kind of just swipe right past it, you know, like. But if I see a video where it's like actually like something I can gain knowledge from, I'll sit there and watch it. But if it's stupid, if
Yeah,
it's just
perspective from it is
mindless
powerful.
videos, yeah, you can use it as a tool. Like you can really use it as a tool, but there's you have to learn to when to like put it down, basically.
I think of it as like it takes practice to not hit your hands with a hammer. That's where my brain goes. It takes
Right.
practice to not smash your fingers when using a hammer and learn to use it precisely as the tool. But to take a little bit of a detour, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I'm curious, what do you find yourself tending more towards whenever it comes to perceptions from other people? Do you often have like a, I don't give a fuck what they think? Or do you find yourself self-conscious with certain things? Do you feel yourself in your head analyzing before you go somewhere of the outcome, or are you completely outcome independent?
Um, I don't know. I feel like it's all just like it comes back to awareness. Um, if you can obviously, for me personally, I can I can separate something that's being told to me. Like if somebody's telling me something that I don't necessarily agree with, I'll sit there and I'll listen to them. But I don't necessarily let that affect how I feel internally. If it's if it's something that like if it's just sometimes you can't just be like fuck you I'm not going to listen to you right you know you want to do your best to like make sure that somebody else is being heard or you don't want to just kind of like dismiss any like cuz if you're a dismissive person then you will lose that opportunity to learn from things that you wouldn't have normally learned from so like the biggest thing is just like being aware of like like your inner voice and your inner self and knowing what's good for you and what's not so good for you, what's not so beneficial
But
for you. Um,
what I mean is more
go
like
ahead.
whole paralysis of like analysis, like self-conscious type thing. For example, like say you got a new hat or something like that. It's a funny looking fucking hat or whatever, like some big cowboy hat or something. Would you tend more to be like, oh, I don't think I'm gonna wear that there. That'd be kind of weird. They think I kind of look funny. Or would you just be like, nah, fuck it, dog. I'm just gonna wear my fucking hat. That's my hat. I'm big dog.
I tend towards the just doing things because I want to, rather than uh, not doing something because of a potential, like, I would wear the hat and get the looks rather than not wear the hat and just blend in. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'd rather I'd rather do something that makes me feel like satisfied rather than satisfy other people and hopes that I somehow just blend in with the crowd. Like, the thing is like, this is something that I've come to learn to accept, bro. Like, and this is just kind of going off of like the question that you've had, is like, the brighter the brighter that you begin to be, the more shadows that you cast. Like, so like, you just gotta do you, bro. Like, obviously don't go being an asshole to people and fucking being a dickhead. You still need to be a loving person, but it doesn't mean that like you need to be a people pleaser. You know, I don't. I'm not gonna. If you don't like who I am for who I actually am, then that's okay. I'm not gonna be upset about that. But that's your problem. That's not my problem. You know, that's not that. If somebody doesn't like who I am, and I'm not doing anything outwardly like offensive to anybody, if I'm just being myself, if it's a problem to other people, then that's a problem within themselves. It's not really a problem with you. And I've learned to just accept that uh, people, not everybody's gonna like what you do, what you wear, what you say. Not everybody's gonna agree with you because that's just human nature, I guess. I don't know if that's human nature, if that's just our current human nature because of the programming that's been instilled into us. But I don't know. I feel like everybody should just do what makes them happy, and not fear consequences. What's that saying? Uh, fuck. What's that saying? It's do something and ask for forgiveness later, or I don't know. It's like, it's about just like doing whatever, and then uh, if it upsets somebody or makes somebody, like, whatever, you know, solve the issue after it's already been.
No, I get
I don't know. It just depends, bro. It just depends, really. Like,
I don't think
that's
you
just one
ever
of those
really.
things, bro. It's like,
I feel like there's certain situations. Like I've seen like the most highly regarded people, and you can still see like moments where they're like vulnerable to a point where it's like almost eating at them. I've seen it on like whenever I've watched the Joe Rogan podcast before, like the dynamic. You'll see someone at like the height of their career, and they'll still be like awkward on on like a fucking public show. So I don't know. I used to deal with that shit a lot, like the self-conscious part of things. I don't really deal with it as much anymore. It's more of like I built up a habit as a whenever I was younger of doing it and saying like no to things because of that fear, that it's a habit that I've been hard to break because I don't really fear it anymore. Like I don't, not that I don't give a fuck, but it's like I I could walk in a place like butt ass naked and I really wouldn't care. But I get in like these. This goes to a lot of people that think that they have social anxiety. I talked to this one person one time and I related to him because I remember back in the day when I was fat, there'd be times where I'd lose my breath, like a panic attack type shit, from just
right,
being around someone that made me nervous. And I haven't experienced that in a very long time, but I have that habit of like that comfort mechanism from that still, where I'll just choose not to do social things just because I have like that habit. And maybe it's like a part of laziness. I truly don't know, because once I leap off and actually go and do the situation that I was contemplating not doing, fuck, I just go in there like nothing ever even happened, and I'm just like, what the fuck was I even like? Why did I do that? But it seems like I can't ever break that like thought cycle before anything. Maybe that's just how like humans fucking work with nervousness. I don't know. That's just like something I've always noticed that before I do anything, it's very. I don't have a problem with taking action with things, but it's a lot of like analysis of it, even for the smallest thing.
Well, fear is a very powerful emotion that kind of limits our true potential. Um, and I feel you. I personally feel you. Like when like I overanalyze things before I do them sometimes. Um, in fear of that, like the outcome not necessarily being an outcome uh, that I that I see as beneficial for me. Like not like sometimes I'll like do things like like sometimes I'll just do things on like and I'll just do them. You know, I'm just doing it. But then sometimes I'll overthink about doing something and then not even do it at all. And that's where that fucking rock gets thrown into the flow, where it's like that shit fucks me up right there, bro. Where it's like
I
I
feel
don't know.
like that comes.
I think I could just get. What were you saying?
I heard this thing from Jordan Peterson, where he was like talking about self-conscious, and he was like, the word in itself, our conscious, like our consciousness, is a reflection of us being self-conscious. Like because we are conscious beings, we're going to be self-conscious, but there's levels to it, to like being self-conscious. He gave this like analogy with like Jiminy Cricket from like fucking Pinocchio, of like how he was like Pinocchio's conscience or whatever. But once I heard like that like being self-conscious about, I always thought it was like a weird thing. You remember that kid Angel?
Which one?
The like retard, the one that just fucking do crazy shit.
Yeah, you're talking about
He's
fucking
kind of like an asshole.
Angel bro, I know
Yeah,
exactly
you
you
know what
talk
I'm
about the
talking
dude
about.
who we went and fucking we did the
Bro,
scooters
he
and shit
always to
with.
me, I don't know if it was just like an act, but he always just seemed like either it was like he was a retard or something. Like he didn't have that like that limiter on him. That just like he just did whatever. I never seen somebody go with the flow like that. That motherfucker was just like only instinct in his brain. Like he got like a thought and he just like acted on it with no fucking like no reflection on anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whenever I think about
Nah,
that, I think
he's a perfect example. He's a perfect example of that.
like the people who listen to the pod don't understand. But it was like this motherfucker was just like, I remember him getting in trouble at school like 4 times in a row for just like sneaking, like hiding weed under his nuts. He'd bring like codeine in, and he would just like walk up and down the halls and just be like, "Fuck you, bitch! You don't know me, bitch!" To like the teachers and shit. Just like, I don't know if he was like retarded. Like I'm saying, I don't know if it's like he was retarded or he didn't have that like, maybe he didn't have no consciousness up in his brain. That's like the, I remember that kid just like would act. I don't know. I just thought immediately about that kid thinking about that shit because, like you said, and like I do,
Nah,
I analyze so many different things that there's no way. I would just feel so weird if I was just like walking up and down, just like being that big of an asshole to certain people. But it's just that he just went with the flow.
yeah, no, he was I don't know, bro. He just acted on like his most primal instincts. I feel like without even thinking about like I don't know, bro. That dude was. I don't know. I can't. I don't want to talk too negatively about him because he, like, he tried like to be a good. He was like he reached out and was like somewhat of a like like you could tell there was like an essence of him wanting to care inside of him, but like
Yeah,
the darkness just embodied him, you know, like he just became like
that's the craziest shit.
I don't even
Like
know, bro.
he would try
You
to
know
like
what I'm
help.
talking about though,
I
like
remember how I met him in Doubt in 7th grade. That's how we met, and I didn't remember him at all. He was like this little like fucking kid with short hair, and he was just like the most annoying motherfucker in that place. And it was like my last 2 days in Doubt that I saw him there. He was just like, "What's up, dog? What's up? Fuck you, puta!" Like just like for no reason. He was like the smallest person in there, and he just had that loud of a mouth. And then yeah, you went black. But later on, like 9th or 10th grade in high school, I saw a Snapchat on a Snapchat story, and I didn't even remember that's who it was. He was just like, I just saw him on there. I was trying to get some Zans, and I just saw him on there selling Zans, and I was just like, I hit him up because I was that fiend back then. I was fiending for that shit, and he like remembered me, and he was so genuine. He was like, "Bro, let me come through and like hang out with you, and we'll like be like trying to like be like my best fucking friend." And that's how he was. And then out of nowhere, and like uh sophomore year or whatever later on, he just like robbed me. Like we went over to his house, and he just like robbed fucking
what?
shit from me. And then he messaged me like every day trying to apologize for robbing me, and he did it like so blatantly. Like he pretty much was just like, "Nah, I ain't giving you your fucking money. Get out of my house. Get out of my fucking house." Like that shit. And then every day he was just like, "I'm so sorry, bro. Can I still be your friend? I'm so sorry." Like not even trying to get something out of me. He was just like trying to like be nice for no. It was like something like just drew me to him because he was just like it was so much of like a fucking a weird concoction of like someone that seemed like they had good in them, but was just like a fucking demon. Like he was just like he was the craziest fucking shit. He's fun to like party
The
with,
kid was
but
wild, bro.
other than that, it definitely like that shit just came straight to my head because that's the first person I think of whenever I think of like someone who
Yeah.
don't have that fucking self consciousness. But trying to think, I don't really. The main thing that I really enjoyed like talking about here was like fucking positive thoughts in your head. Like I think it's cliche to say that shit because like you have all these like motivational posts just to make money that are like, dude, you got to do affirmations, you got to like do all this shit. But really, when you get down to like the nitty and gritty, that shit is like it's not even just saying positive things to yourself. It's like every single little like action you do to like that's positive to yourself, be it like even just like allowing yourself to take a break, allowing yourself to do this and do that, just feeds that. It just feeds that like that can it feeds the positive, I guess.
Right. It's it's not it's like it's replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts that I've found actually have benefited me more than allowing because that's what mindfulness is you can have mindfulness or have a mind full of garbage. Mindful, I heard from
Mindful
somebody,
of ness.
they said mindfulness is, hey, uh,
God, that's that bar right there.
um, they say that mindfulness is having like having your mind full of a positive thought, like thoughts that like drive you to do things that you're already doing. Like I don't know how to say it into words, but it's like I don't know. I have this this like thing where like these negative thoughts will start to like come into my head, and then I shut it off. And like if I start to hear like these negative thoughts, I kind of replace it with a positive thought. Or if I let the negative thoughts come through, then I kind of just like evaluate why I'm feeling that way or why I'm thinking that way. But then like another thing is like some of these thoughts that come are not even our own thoughts. These are just thoughts that occur off of an emotion. Like I swear I get some thoughts sometimes where I'm like, bro, what the fuck was that? You know, where it's like, why
Yeah, and
why did I
you
just
want to
go
go
down
to
this
the
rabbit
store and do
hole?
something bad.
Right?
Sometimes.
It's like, bro, what the fuck? Yeah, nah,
I,
something like that though. Like yeah, I get what you're saying.
the most interesting correlation I've learned, I always correlate awareness with mindfulness, like awareness of what's going on in your mind. And I got this, like, I saw this person who was like a very intense Christian talking about mindfulness, and I feel like you'll agree with this, but it talks about sins. A lot of Christians will go to church, they'll ask for forgiveness of their sins, they remember what they did that was bad or whatever, but like that, what this guy said is, he's like, that's not even truly being a Christian. What truly being a Christian is being Christ minded, always mindful of everything. If you get a thought of like a bad lustful thought that's negative, like this, like true intention, like we're all men have like an inner desire to like fucking spread their seed. Like that's just like a, like you have all these like Genghis Khan level desires that are like your dark desires in your head that nobody like talks about, like you just said. But it's like constantly being aware and like labeling that as a sin. Like, say you're like, all right, I want to go and drink and like get drunk as shit and then drive home. Being, or not even that, because that's like something that would like easily be able to tell. But it's like, all right, I want to like do this action that is gonna lead me to doing something I don't want to do. They use it with like sins, like all the seven deadly sins, constantly aware of them. But the way I correlated it is like, all right, if watching this website or this video leads me to something that negatively impacts my mind, even if I get the like the monkey brain thought of like, all right, let me just check this out. The rationalization, it's being able to fight the rationalizations in your mind and pinpoint them as they are. It's like your brain will rationalize, no, well, I need to go to here so I can do this, so I can see and catch up on this. Yeah, but that you also go on that website and you watch all this fucking garbage on there. And that's what leads you to like breaking the cycle that you keep fucking trying to maintain. And it's being aware of that and being able to fight that fucking lizard monkey brain in the back that just like automatically goes. It's also constantly being aware and not judgmental, but like poignant to yourself where you're like, all right, I'm just kind of being lazy right now. All right, I'm kind of just fucking like, there's nothing positive. Maybe I'm just like rationalizing that this might be a positive for me. It goes like, you have to dive that deep into it from what I found to like actually,
Right.
I've always been that way. Like, I remember being like a little kid, like fucking, I'm talking about like 6 or 7 years old, and I always thought I had like something that I knew that the adults didn't know. Like, it's kind of like sounds like super arrogant of me to say, but like they'd be talking and I always felt like I understood them, but I was like, dog, that's like the stupidest shit you could be talking about. At like that young, at like 7 years old, whenever they're trying to like talk down to you, like you don't know what they're talking about. I remember always being like, all right, that's kind of weird. That's kind of, I don't know. Maybe I'll. That's just something that I remember, and I've always had that level of like self-awareness and mindfulness on like everything. Even whenever I was like down bad, just like fucking complete degeneracy in the past. Still, I'm just like, that was I think why I used a lot of the drugs I used, was to like silence that awareness to not face what I actually wanted to do. And one of the
Yeah,
things that
I
I
feel
came to
you
terms with, the thing that I came to terms with is like, alright, it took me that long. I spent that many years trying to silence those thoughts. And it's only been like maybe 1 or 2 years that I've actually been, maybe even that I've been on the path of like shit that I need to be getting done. It's like, of course, it's going to be like a little bit of a period for me to like adjust. Of course, I'm going to fall back. I can try as hard not to, but it's like, you don't, there's going to be withdrawals. I mean, people don't just like quit fucking heroin. People quit heroin and have like heart attacks because the withdrawals are so severe. If you live an entire lifestyle of like overindulgence in food, drugs, all this shit, of course you're going to still have all of those demons just don't go away. The
Right.
repercussions and judgment in your mind of that lifestyle is not going to go away. Why would the universe reward you with a eureka moment if that's how you've lived? We see all these like victory stories of like overnight successes when it's like, fuck, those people went through that same journey we're going through right now, which is like stopping the ways that they used to do, the ways they used to be, taking on the new action. Then it's like several years of like readjustment, learning, reflection.
Right.
Like even the successful person that's your age that you might compare yourself to, he might just have like a head start on you and might not have had all those troubles in his past. And he was able to get the jump on the self-reflection part.
Right. Hmm.
But I truly, I want to try to like give you a little bit of an experiment to practice. This is what I've done with the type of work that I do, and I wish I would have done in the past. And whenever I would go to work, instead of usually like, oh man, I feel fucking brain fog, oh I don't want to do this, oh I feel tired, fuck, I guess I'll just muscle through it. Kill all of those thoughts, even with things you don't want to do, and try to make them the most positive experience and be SpongeBob. That's the best way to put it. For that little time, be SpongeBob. What does SpongeBob do? That motherfucker flips hamburgers in the grill and has to deal with Squidward's bitch ass. But he's still the most positive motherfucker in the Krusty Krab.
Right.
So if you force yourself, no matter what, it's even like if someone spit in your face and was like, fuck you, queer, just something like that. Laugh. Or, I don't know, that'd be kind of hard for me to do that. But like, just like, don't react to it. Just kind of like react opposite of what your body tells you to. Oh, how you doing, sir? How
Right.
you doing? Good. Like, just only positive. Only positive. Because it really, like you said before, it stems from the morning. Like, if you wake up and have some bullshit happen, then the whole fucking day is going to be based on that bullshit. It's like, they tell everybody to, like, go outside immediately and get sunlight for the best day. Well, fuck. How can you have a best day if you're immediately waking up into, like, darkness and not doing that, metaphorically speaking?
Right.
That's a metaphor for, like, every aspect of them. So, like, it, even something as corny as just, like, waking up, looking in the mirror and just be like, I'm gonna have the best day of my life today. Which, I don't really do that. But things related to that would probably be best.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a good way to look at it, honestly. Just keeping a positive mindset no matter what you're doing, no matter what's going on. Like, just
And the small
constantly
games.
being right.
Are you pretty competitive with certain things?
I used to be. Uh, I'm not so sure anymore.
I feel like it helps me
I
to
wa-
just like play that competitiveness even if it's against like
Mm.
other people. Like it might be like a little bit like ego derived, but just to like look at other people relative to me that have done the things I've done in the past, and look at where they're at, and look at where I'm at on every level, mentally, not even really financially, but mentally, physically, all of that shit, and kind of compare that in the small games. You gotta like really, you just gotta make that shit like a fucking game, because you're playing a game. Trying to like go after success is you playing a game at the at all of it shrunk down to its simplest form. It has every elements of a game, but if you look at the bigger game that takes fucking years and you're thinking about it in terms of weeks, you're just gonna want to fucking kill yourself. But if you look at it in smaller increment games, like alright, today I did this and this and this, track it down. That helped me. I've actually started that. Like I have a fucking journal with like check mark points of shit I do. The organization for me helps me tremendously. It's like how Rick Rubin in that book, how he talks about deadlines. He talks about how like deadlines can be important for making good art, because you can go on forever and just be like, well, it's no, not today, it's not enough, or it's not ready yet, it's not that. But if you set clear deadlines, clear parameters, clear analytics for yourself, there's visual tracks. It's like going to the gym and you don't feel strong because you don't see the progress. But if you add a 2.5 on the fucking bar every time, after a month, you're gonna be up fucking almost 10 pounds on your weight. Now, of course, there's differences, but like that's the way you gotta. That's one thing that's truly helped me that I don't even know why I didn't mention. But I have like 4 or 5 notebooks with everything in it.
Hmm.
Like sleep, bro. I'll play these games like I got like a couple friends up here that I really fuck around with shit and do stuff, but it's like I go like fucking autistic with that shit. Did I sleep? Did I fucking go to bed at the time I wanted to routinely last night and this morning? I'll track that. I'll track all that shit. At the end of it, I'm gonna look like a fucking crazy person because of all the notebooks and shit, but it really does help my mental health.
Well, that works for. I mean, it doesn't matter what anybody says about that specifically. That works. That works for you individually, and you gotta just. That's what everybody has to do. They have to find what works for them.
Well, it's like if you don't see the purpose, if you don't see the purpose at all and you're having problems, that's a way that I found to create purpose. You're literally gamifying it. Any way you can gamify it is synthetically making a purpose. Even if you don't see the clear purpose, if you feel purposeless, it makes it. That's where it all comes down to, is like your mind is so powerful. If you don't see the purpose and you have trouble finding the purpose, make the fucking purpose.
Right. Hmm.
Like any little thing
Make
that's
the
in front of
purpose.
you. The easiest way to do it is just to like grab the thing that's in front of you. Don't wait for it. Like for me, you told me a year ago, yeah, you're gonna be back on fucking on framing duty, dog. You're gonna be back picking up scraps. You're gonna be back in construction. I'd be like, fuck you, queer. I'm gonna be a YouTube millionaire, dude. I'm gonna make it, bro. But I grabbed what was in front of me. I grabbed my utilities. I have this job. I kinda like it. I learn a good amount. It's a skill that is dying. Not many people. I have to justify it in my head, of course. I have to make all the like reasons why it's good for me to like gamify it. And then I'm like, there it is. That is the purpose. Let me just fuck it. I don't give a fuck if I can't find it. Try everything at my disposal that's in front of me. I'll make this a purpose. Your purpose could be something as simple as like, alright, I'm gonna write down on a notepad 30 minutes, no matter what, I'm gonna practice the piano. Even if I'm pressing the same fucking key over and over. At night, did I play piano for 30 minutes? Check. I won today. I fucking did it, dog. I did what I said. Even that small. Now I know your dreams are bigger than that, so your checks are gonna be bigger than that. That wouldn't satisfy you, but that is like an example. Today I took Mike's soul. Check. Taken, bro. David Goggins. This is another thing for like the work we do. This is like a philosophy from David Goggins. To take a motherfucker's soul. That look that someone gives you whenever you like push past, like in the gym. You know, whenever you like pushing hard in the fucking gym, and that other person is, they might work hard, but they notice that how hard you're fucking working, and you see that look in your eye. David Goggins describes that as taking their soul. Hey, I got that motherfucking soul. Like he was in the Navy SEAL Buds training, and he got his whole squadron in this icy ass water to pick up the fucking boat and just start chanting to the instructors who went through the same training. Start chanting to them, I'm gonna take your fucking, or you can't fuck with boat crew 2, you can't fuck with boat crew 2. And he said he looked over at him, and it was like, they're not like cartoonily being like gulping. They're not doing that. But you can see the look in their eye where they're like, oh damn, I didn't expect that. So even just like the game of breaking someone's expectations will fucking, you take that soul, it's going into you, dog. It's like you fucking absorbing their soul. At least that's what I found. Maybe I'm just like a narcissist motherfucker, because I be trying to take my coworker's soul all day. I'll hoe him. I'll be like, bitch, I'm gonna start calling your ass cut it 2 times on the fucking saw. I'm gonna start calling your ass take it down and put it back, bitch. That's just me. I just start fucking competing. I just start doing all that shit to him. Not because I really find it that fun, but it just like kind of gamifies the things for me and feeds my ego. But that's besides the point. I really got some problems, dog. I be doing that shit. I be gamifying it too much. I be like looking at other men to see who will break the fucking eye contact first. Like, I'm gonna take your fucking soul, dog. Keep on staring. Keep on staring, dog. I'm gonna take your fucking soul. Who gonna look down at the ground first?
Right.
Everything. I try to gamify everything. I create purpose in a motherfucker staring me down.
Huh.
Shit, people even create purpose and gamify it just through like saving money. That's like another thing. That's people creating purpose. The fucking money isn't real. The money doesn't matter. But they gamify and create purpose just through a fucking number in their bank account. Something that insignificant. They're creating like, holy shit, dude, I got another 0. I won. Fucking gamifying and creating purpose out of something that's not truly there. When you don't have an instruction manual, you just have to create the fucking game and the rules yourself. We got guidelines. We got perspectives. Go with the flow. Meditate. Do this. Do that. But it's like there are no fucking set rules, so you have to make that shit yourself. It's not a. I'm saying it is like a perspective or like a helpful thing. But it's like, bro, think about it. We do not have guidelines, so you have to make that yourself. And if you choose not to, then you're just gonna feel like that. Because if you're not using that to utilize the power of your mind, then you don't even truly believe how powerful your mind is if you're not doing it. If you're only relying on like little sparks here and there.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, it's the best way to put it, honestly. I feel like, no, I heard something that put everything into perspective again. It was, there's the thing, and then there's the words for the thing. And that's where like all the like hearing all these things and all these words and everything kind of just like doesn't really help you like help anybody individually understand things. You just have to do what makes
I
like
feel
what
like
would
the
do
word,
what's right for you. I don't know.
the words can be very powerful. Like, think about it like this. I'll ask you this in a question form. Have you ever had the moment where you're digesting a book, online motivation person, whoever the fuck it may be, and you just start having those fucking wires connect in your head? You start thinking about this, you start thinking about that, you start writing these things down. Like for me, I do this with like ideas for videos or whatever. The podcast thing, like the topics for the podcast when I do write them, that's how they come. I'll be listening to something, and this is how I made my videos. Is I'd listen to like an Alex Hormozy podcast, and every little thing he would say would create a fucking wired connection to like an idea of my own based off of that. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
So those, in my opinion, those are the realizations, the perspectives, and the helpful frames that we gather. And that's why I don't completely shun watching YouTube videos. Like if you're watching movies or YouTube videos, whatever, over and over and over, it's obviously a negative. But if you're reading these books, reading these things, just to complete them, just to like hear it, and you're not every single second have of your, not every second, but like the majority of it having those wired connections happen, I put the fucking book down. I turn the video off. I do it. I don't even finish books. I do not even finish a lot of books. I've probably finished a total of 7 books. I'll read it. I'll go basic, completely off of my interests. Completely off my interests. I saw this in that Naval Ravikant podcast with Joe Rogan. If you ain't seen that, you need to watch that shit. It's fucking gold. He's like this entrepreneur, angel investor who believes that everybody can be rich. The way he puts it is magical. I'm not even going to attempt to like articulate how he said it. But he explained how he reads. And Joe Rogan even like kind of agreed with him. I guess he does it. But that's besides the point. The way I do it is I go purely off of interest. If I want to read a fucking sci-fi book, it's not going to make me $1 million. It's not going to do this. Fuck it. I'm interested in it. I'll read it. If I get bored, I'll put that son of a bitch down. It's that juice. That fucking juice that gets it flowing. Whenever you're sitting there reading an encyclopedia, you don't give a fuck about how you spell orange, how you spell superfragicaliosis. It's bullshit. That's not what I'm reading for. I'm truly not reading for the focus. I get focus from my meditation. I'm reading, I'm digesting podcasts, I'm digesting content. If it's not for entertainment, it's for those wires to be fucking soldered together into my own realizations, ideas, perspectives, frames, whatever you want to call it. And like, bro, the best moments of my day are at 5 in the morning when I drink 5 scoops of instant coffee. I feel like I'm on crack cocaine. I'm on fucking level 5. I get me a fucking cigar going. That nicotine, caffeine's fucking each other in my brain. They're going ham. I open that fucking book. It's a business book. I'm just like, holy shit, this correlates to life. You start making all these correlations to things and fucking... Now, that's where I believe the words are powerful. Like you said, the analogy you gave. But then, the fuck, what is the M word we read? The mindfulness is the discipline to stop that midway, not let it keep fucking going, not let it keep flowing out, and put it into something. Whatever that may be. It might be fucking writing a book on your laptop. But to document that through journaling, through an art, that is true expression, in my opinion. That is what it means to express, is to stop that, because it can be just mental masturbation. It's a lot of podcasts are just, for the most part, mental masturbation. It's just you enjoying those little wire crossings and correlations, and you're like, oh, I feel so good and so... But unless you have the discipline to immediately stop that and go straight into action on whatever task, and then you're flowing. Then you're just flowing out that shit. And it doesn't...
Right.
It doesn't have to be a book or a podcast to initiate that. Sometimes it happens randomly. Like for me, if I pick... I've made probably 5 total songs on the guitar that I feel I'm really proud of and like them. I feel like the words tell a story. It's not like some bullshit. I actually feel like I express the way I'm feeling through it. And it took no effort. It was completely flow state, initiated by me just finding a chord I found that did something in my brain. Like that, the wires that crossed with those podcasts, those are shortcuts. But that's what fucking like musicians will do in a studio, just playing around. The best fucking songs. I heard the story about how they came up with the guitars for Leonard Skinner came up with Freebird. They were literally in the studio, and he played a chord, and then he played the slide, and they just like it literally was so powerful that it got all four of those people's wires to start fucking circulating in their brain, and they stopped fucking around, and they each took a fucking actionable step, started writing lyrics, started doing this, started doing that, and that's how you got to do it. That's how you got to, with any sort of art. Like for me, well, I don't even want to go off my own experience. I don't want to keep talking about myself. But that's the only way I can explain it, is find something to fucking spark those wires, podcast, whatever, and then stop it and channel it into some form of expression.
Yeah.
And a lot
I
of the
agree.
time, it's just writing the idea down on a piece of paper. It's not always going to be fucking Mozart. It's just like writing it down on a piece of paper, solidifying that you had that idea and didn't lose it. And you may never even look back at it. To me, it's like one of the most fun things I do. How engaging it is, I mean. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like regurgitating like thousands of hours of like self-help fucking videos I've watched. It's just like it imprinted in my brain, and I just like I channel fucking whoever the fuck I watch influencer, and it just like goes straight to like that. But right now I feel like pretty much in a flow state.
Yeah.
Just like spitting the shit off of the top of my head.
That's what flow is. Just doing, and not trying to do anything, just being, and just letting it come out. That's being in a flow state. Once you like interrupt that natural flow of things, then it no longer becomes a flow. It's more of a.
Do you find yourself often getting into flow states on things?
Most of the time, yes. Like most of the time when I'm doing anything, I often just go with it. I'm constantly in like a flow state. But then I get in these moments where like these thoughts will creep in of like how I'm not doing enough, or I'm not doing more, or I could be doing more. Or like I don't know. Sometimes I get these feelings like that just creep in, and then it takes me out of the flow state, and then I start to get in this like I have to recalibrate myself in a manner that puts me back into a flow state. Because you can't force yourself into a flow state; it just naturally occurs. But you can take yourself out of it unintentionally. It's like I don't know. It's weird. Like
I feel like
I
do
find
that a lot with like.
Go ahead.
Like exactly what you said with like the thoughts of like not doing enough. I feel like consistency in general on day to day, week to week can be a giant flow state. Like in all, that is the definition of flowing. You're doing the same thing routinely every single day without interruption. And I've done that numerous times with my videos. I wake up at this time, I eat at this time, I eat this specific food, I do this, blah, 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 blah. And then it'll be like an entire existential thought that'll pull me out of that consistent long form flow that I've been in. As well as like little habitual things throughout the day. Like, oh no, you gotta like, don't make your video like that. You gotta do a bunch of editing like all these people. It's not good enough. You're not putting in enough work. Does it even really feel like it's that hard?
Right.
Or like, my biggest existential one is like one of the reasons why sometimes I feel like I'm not enough is like I get this thought in the back of my head is like, is what you're doing even like fulfilling what your true potential is in your head? Is it really even that fucking hard? Is kind of what you're doing like work that's ego in my opinion. Whenever I start thinking like that, like, is what you're doing like even like up to your standards of what you could accomplish? Shit like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still I'm still learning every day how to go with things and how to
Well,
like
yeah.
how to keep myself in a flow state and not let let uh let my perception of how things should be get in the way of how things are in the moment, you know, and just like I don't know. I feel like every day
We just got
is a new day.
we just got to remember, dog. We're still at the beginning of our lives, so we still got plenty of time to figure that shit out.
Yeah. You're right.
And really, realistically, as early as we've woken up to our own things that we want to do, shit, we're ahead of the game with a lot of that, in regards to a lot of that. It might not seem that
Mhm.
way whenever you go on your phone and you see millions of fucking kids making beats or whatever, posting them like, oh, well, there is a fucking, but I'm not special. There is a bunch of people. But it's like, even if a million fucking people did that, even if there was a million fucking someone, like Clockwork Orange, your eyes like that, and you're sitting there watching millions of fucking kids do the exact same thing, a 5 million out of 8 billion ain't shit. Five, there's 10 times more than 5 million fucking people that are rich in the world. That's such a small fraction. So, you just gotta, or at least I always gotta remind myself of like the scale of things and the time of things. You can't let yourself feel like you missed the fucking boom, or you're not doing enough. That the boom, or whatever you're chasing, is gonna pass you by. You just gotta remind yourself that fuck, dog. Possibilities is really just infinite at the end of the day, as long as you don't fall off the wagon and go back into just like not doing anything and just like not taking steps towards it. Possibilities of it happen are 10 times more likely with what you're doing right now.
Yeah. Cat hair. Nah.
Well,
You're right. The possibilities are infinite.
yes, sir. I think this was a pretty healthy discussion on all this shit.
Yeah. You too.
I got a little bit of perspective from it.
Yeah, I gained some insight for sure.
I
I feel
definitely
like every time
like,
we talk, I gain another perspective that I wasn't necessarily looking at in the beginning.
well, that right there is a reminder in itself that two of us, as few as times we talk a week on this, just once, we're like-minded with what we're going towards, and it's just two of us. I don't really know anybody else in my life as it sits that has the desires like you or me have. Maybe likewise with you, or at least taking the actionable steps day by day towards them. So that alone should tell you
Right.
that you're doing something right.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know anybody other than you that has the same drive that to actually pursue something outside of an everyday average life, you know. I feel like you're right though.
Hmm.
Like
It's kind of crazy whenever you
that is
think about it.
something. It is pretty wild when you
I
zoom out and
constantly
you
like
actually like look at. Go
I
ahead.
constantly fight that in my head, like I was telling you, where it's like, oh man, I'm fucking competing against all these people. I'm doing all this shit against all this shit. It's so hard. It's so hard. But then I'm just like, who the fuck am I really competing with? If I unplug from my phone, I do not know a single person besides Devin, and we have different goals, like-minded ambitions, but different fucking goals and destinations. But it's like I must be doing something right because I look back in the past and I just see progress mainly. I've been 10 times
Right.
worse off than I am right now. And I know a shit ton of people
That
who haven't even inched forward. Not to hate on nobody, not to throw fucking shade on them, but I look at what I've done and I look at what others have done, and I've seen people who have not made a single inch forward. And I've made several steps.
yeah. I feel like it's much more. It's much more. I wouldn't say difficult, but it's much more like when you start making those steps out of comfort. At like when you start making those steps to do something for yourself, life begins to be like it almost is like a test. You know, like it's gonna show you like okay, these things aren't easy to do, but it's worth it. Like I don't know, I see the end goal. You know, like not the end goal, but I see it so clearly. Like it's not a picture, but it's a feeling that I feel, and I like that's inside of me. That's like, okay, if I don't keep doing what I'm doing, if I don't keep going forward, then I'm gonna basically like just be like everybody else. You know, like I'm just gonna be living in a cog, like a cog. I'm being like a little cog in the
This is
system of I don't know.
this is how you know
What were
exactly
you gonna
right
say?
now you're on the right path. Whenever you first embarked on whatever it is you're going after, this this right now, these feelings, wanting, I don't want to go towards that route, but these feelings, these negative thoughts, these clouded thoughts are exactly what you told yourself in the beginning was going to be hard. This is the hard part, and this is where people have quit. We're not special snowflakes that are the only ones experiencing. It's the fact that other people have experienced exactly what we're experiencing right now, and instead of fucking persevering through it, they gave up. We're not getting physically hurt. We're not getting assaulted. We're not getting spat on. But this mental battle between yourself is what you told yourself in the beginning. Alright, it's gonna be fucking hard, but I'm gonna do it anyways.
Yeah, this is the hard part.
And exactly, this is the hard part. And who the fuck cares? We're all gonna fucking die and be mushrooms in the fucking ground. So who cares? Do what the fuck you want. That's the last thing I want to leave on this shit. This is the hard part, and who the fuck cares? You gonna be a goddamn mushroom anywhere, mushroom boy. All the people out there. You gonna be a fucking fun guy. You think you're a fun guy now? You gonna be a fun guy later on. That's just stupid. But, but alright, my boy. I think this was a pretty healthy podcast. I didn't really
I
have
enjoyed
any
it.
more points than the movies, so I'm glad we got to the consensus we did without any guiding topics. But and we'll just keep getting better. This is just another rep. We at 4
Yep.
now. We got 6 more, and we'll be at 10.
Yep.
That's all we got to be thinking about.
Right.
All right, old
Just
boys.
keep going.
Y'all have a good one. Me and Devin, we gonna chill. Peace out.